When you take an entrepreneur journey, you really don't know what you're getting yourself into when you start out. You really don't. Like, you think it's this idea that it's like, cool, I get to work for myself, but then you get in there and you're like, oh, wait.
Glad you're here, dude.
What's up, man? How you doing? I'll never forget it. She said, Sky, you can never ask too many questions. Her name was Miss Taney. She was one of my favorite teachers because she accepted students for their individuality instead of, trying to push them through the system of, this is what you're supposed to do good at this test, and this is how it's done.
Going through school and even at the college level, you're kind of given like a set to-do list. And it's like you complete this and then you get the grade and then you're out of there,
That's it, yeah.
Like, who cares?
Why and how did group projects make such a big impact on you?
I just didn't feel smart. And like, with everything being tested by that, like, are you gonna get to the next grade? Are you gonna graduate? All being based off just tests, I was always scared. And so it was like in middle school and high school, when we started doing group projects, it was a different way to assess your knowledge on something. Whether you read a book instead of like taking a test, if you could like go out and like do a skit instead and like let me know your knowledge, or if you could change a chapter based off the previous chapters, what would you write? It allowed you to still have the opportunity to say, hey, actually I'm comprehending this information, but it allowed you to tie in the creativity to do something different.
And what was different at Blue Light Caps is like you're given a client project or you're given like some sort of project or something to do, and then you're given hardly any information, and it's like, go make it happen.
Every kid doesn't learn the same, and especially from a creative standpoint, most creative kids aren't by the book.
My intelligence isn't based strictly off of this test, and I think that was crucial because I feel like a lot of people, they get anxiety from that.
And so rather than being given tasks, you were given opportunities and open doors. And now I started, applying that within the business world and my career. And I've seen that that's how the real world operates at the business level.
That's constantly what I'm trying to get my students to do is, and it puts me in a position too, because then I have to advocate on their behalf, but I'm constantly trying to get them to say, when you're in here today, take ownership. Take ownership of who you interact with, of what you do, of what you put your mind to. Take ownership of what you put in your body, what you eat.
There's kids that will just ask a million questions instead of taking it into their own hands of, this is what I should be doing, like, challenging themselves instead of just being like, hey, Siri.
No one's telling you what to do. Hey, here's everything you need to be doing today. And if you do that, then you're going to progress and go become the CEO. Like, That's not how it works. Right. The way you go do that is you got to think outside the box. What can I be doing that's proactive rather than reactive?
You said a big part of making that your career was like creative thinking. Like, how do you practice that now, and what types of creative thinking would have been really valuable for you in high school?
Basically advertising myself. I have to think in different ways so people can know who I am. I mean, I'm a DJ. This is my business, so I can't sit at home and expect people to know me. So you got to get out there. You have to, have confidence in yourself, learn how to risk take.
I looked at Mark and I said, we didn't travel all this way not to get in. And Mark was a little bit behind us, so he didn't make it in. And I snuck in. He didn't make it. Walk around the corner and just like, how did you get in? I was like, I snuck in, but let's do this. You gotta learn to love the process. Like, you gotta take the steps before you can get on the elevator.
I do not mind asking for help. If I need some help, I'm gonna contact you and I'm going straight in for the kill. I'm gonna ask you how you doing, how the kids and all that. But if I need something and I know that you have the resources or you have a way for me to advance what I'm doing, and this is the thing, I feel like what I do is not really self-serving, it's for a community.
When they get older and all they've done is listen and to do what I should do, then they don't have their own mind. You know what I mean? They're not exactly. Yeah. They're not able to express their own creativity and their own thoughts because all they've been doing is doing what they've been told.
First Friday, that's major for me because I didn't know what I was doing with that. That was a big risk for me, setting up and just using, Kansas City's resource.
Was that how the entire environment was when you had the opportunity to go to Blue Valley Caps, or did people start to get separated even at Blue Valley Caps, or how did that 2 years at Caps play out for you?
It really was that opportunity thing, and it was a distinct difference. where some people took that opportunity and you could tell, and others clearly didn't take that opportunity. When you're given an opportunity, I see it as you've got to take advantage of every opportunity at your door.
And then you talked about this tipping moment in college. You were in entrepreneurship class. Like what happened? Like, why was that so impactful for you?
Well, first of all, it irritated me because the teacher was teaching about entrepreneurship but never owned a business. Especially with entrepreneurship, that's a different type of perspective. Like we can all do the, what is it, the SWOT, whatever, like SWOT, like you can do that, you can do the business plan, but like it's different when you're in it.
My biggest passion has been within entrepreneurship and within marketing, and what's cool is now I get to work with a lot of companies. So I think the best way I found it was just going out and doing it. You know, I never really knew that this was my passion. Growing up, I never thought that I was
It wasn't until that Blue Valley Caps experience where you got to go and like actually do it, where you're like, I love this.
Exactly, yeah.
And he said, never lend anyone money that you need back. And the thing I learned from that is like, before you make a decision, if it hits the fan, know that like what you intend to learn from it so that you can at least take that experience. It's like so many of us, like things blow up, but we never learn from that experience and we go on and do the same thing again. I mean, the risks I take are like, okay, here's what I want to learn out of doing this. What was the foundation for you that made failure a little more safe?
Yeah, so I would say age being one of them. Even though in reality, you know, it doesn't matter what age you're at, that shouldn't be a concern, but what I've really taken on is, look, I'm 19 years old. I can always go back to college. I can always go back and talk to my dad and my mom and see if I can get a job there or whatever it may be, use like my existing network. So I can always fall back on that, but I can't always go and get the opportunity I'm given today of, you know, running this media company and doing everything I can and want to do. In reality, I prefer to have sort of my back against the wall. And I think people, that's when you actually see the best in people, is when the pressure's on and it's like make or break.
Do you think people are born with that though, or that you can like teach that type of tenacity?
Everyone definitely has it. It's just a matter of if they believe in it or not.
And I was introduced to something called the Willie Lynch letter. And that really introduced me to what business means. Willie Lynch basically wrote a letter to all of the slave owners in a certain area, I can't remember which one, and basically telling them, you know, just killing off your slaves isn't financially beneficial. I'm going to teach you how to make them tear themselves down while you remain financially strong. I was reading that letter and they broke it down and we had homework assignments on it, and that didn't piss me off. That made me say, he was the smartest man ever, because that continues today. What
was like the thing that you realized would be like, that made it so passionate for you to bring people together?
I think it was the breaking biases thing, like understanding that people have these thoughts that they don't really know that they have until they're brought to the forefront. And then challenging them to go past them and explore something that's bigger than themselves to create something special.
I think it's super dope that, you know, he teamed up with Sam and Social Apex. The more that we come together as a city, the more that we will do, the more that we will build, the more that we will bring and offer to other people that don't know what Kansas City has to offer.
I work with these group of individuals. They're all teenagers ranging from 12 to 18, and they're very individualistic. Like, they don't really want to work together. Like, you have to like push it in their mind, like, dude, if you don't, you're gonna be the host, you're gonna be the production writer, you're gonna be the one that contact the guests, but it seems like everyone wants to do all of the things, at least this generation. It's like they don't understand the power of, yo, you're good at this, I'm good at that, let's come together and be great.
You can ask somebody why, and they think that you're questioning them as in like their integrity, and it's like, no, I just want to know how, you know, how'd you get to this? How did you get to that? You know, how did you become who you are today? You know, like why did you make that decision? For me, it helped me go a lot. When you have 8 dudes, which some of them got egos, you know, are not afraid to tell you what you don't want to hear. You got friends in your circle that are afraid to tell you what you don't want to hear. I don't necessarily know if they're your friend.
What's one practice that you do that's really helpful for you that you wish you would have worked on more then, or that you would like to pass down?
Oh man, just learning how to take people for face value, I think, is something that was really, really important that I wish I would have learned in school, and I wish I would have learned more interpersonal. Listen for the sake of listening instead of listening to get a word in. Showing someone that you're actually there for them, and you can do that professionally and personally. You know, if you're working with a business, show them that you're passionate about what they're passionate about, even if it is just in that moment, so that they know that their dreams and the things that they want to do are supported enough to where they can blossom in it.
Our friends is not thinking like we are, and so if they're not, then you need to pick them up by the bootstraps and be like, yo, this is what I need from you in this season of my life as a friend. Because they're not going to be honest. They don't really know. They're literally standing in the gap and they're waiting for you to call, but you got too much pride to say, yo, I need your support, because you're thinking in your mind you're supposed to have that figured out. We got to communicate what we expect from anyone in our community.
Like, mental health is real right now. It's always been real. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's been tougher times, you know what I mean? Like, but mental health is real, and I think a lot of it stems from a lack of strength and identity, but also like this layer that social media has created, where it's like they're out there, like you'll see people, but you won't talk to them. But then you'll like engage with them on social media.
No, I never understood that.
But I think that's the challenge of it, is like we've created these layers of what is friendship, what is connection, what is honesty with each other, and we don't have a good way of processing that because we're the oldest generation to deal with it.
For me personally, seeing other people have small wins gives me like extreme joy.
When you go into a classroom, it's obviously maybe anywhere between 15 to 25 kids in the classroom, and just asking a question, what are you good at? I'm good at making bow ties, right? So-and-so, Ashley's good at making marketing and PR, press release, whatever. But I think it just requires asking those questions that we don't really like to ask. Like, what are you good at?
I started to understand unity. I started to understand, people who are intelligent, that look like me. I started to be introduced to like African dance and the, kind of creative expression through that. And I started to see, like, as a culture, we've always been intelligent. It's just, we do it differently.
Nothing that I'm learning in school is pushing my bottom line. Is doing nothing. And I was fortunate enough to be on athletic scholarship, so I ain't got dead. Like, I was able to just like walk away from it. But that was the moment where I'm like, everything that I love, everything I'm doing right now, school is not helping push the bottom line.
What do you wish would have happened?
I just wish that, man, in school, I just would have had just like maybe a mentor. Like, they have counselors in school. What are they there for? You know what I'm saying? Somebody's struggling, but you see the spark in them. You're not taking the time to get to know them. You're not taking the time to say, well, what's pushing you back? Let's focus on, the stress level. Like, finding ways to deal with stress and find ways to deal with disencouragement. I dealt with that.
If kids were able to have a mentor when they're younger, I still even say this today. If I could have a mentor that was 20 years older than me today, I would sign up right now.
I didn't have any encouragement in school. Like, my parents didn't go to college. They didn't finish high school. So I just felt like, I'm just here to get this paper, and that's what it is.
When you are explaining something, people need to understand the why behind it, the strategic force behind it, and so they know what to do moving forward.
Yeah, no, what you're making me think about, two big ideas we talk about in school is a sense of agency and locus of control. Mm-hmm. And like sense of agency being like, I have the ability to enact what I believe out into the world, and locus of control is knowing like to what extent I can do that. Like, can I impact this room? Can I impact this city? like
I've always been the girl where if you say I can't do something, woo, I'm gonna prove you wrong, because I just like to see that on your face. Like, like that hate is real,
You really gotta have persistence. It should just never really give up when the first kind of break or obstacle that you face. And then also just the ability to kind of work hard. And I think working hard is kind of underestimated sometimes.
I think it's just that responsibility of like taking ownership of it and like really adapting and living the, or not even living, but earning the entrepreneur spirit. But you gotta have that grit, you gotta have that grind in you to kind of like say, I'm gonna go for this.
If you're 19 or younger, if you simply know how to work hard, you're gonna be better than 95% of your peers.
But I feel like there's such a lack of confidence I want to go a step deeper. I'm gonna say self-worth. Like if you value yourself, if you recognize that you have enough for everything that you need to do, like you start from that point. Like how do you build up your self-worth to know like I'm good, I got mine, I love them, they're gonna get theirs, we'll do it together. Like where's your self-worth come from?
I think my self-worth is rooted in the idea that I really had nothing. So I didn't have a mom growing up, didn't have a dad growing up. I was raised literally by a village. So I had a community of people, my aunties, my uncles, my cousins, my grandmother, my grandfather. And so not having that nurturing spirit from a mother be provided to me, not having that discipline structure from a father, I had to really figure it out. I had to really ask Jordan, what the hell are you gonna do? You about to be a grown man in this world and you don't really have the principles down of how to live as a man, as a black man, right?
I'd rather be someone that when other youth look at me, they say, I can be just like her. You know, so
Against all
the odds.